Hi everyone, I hope you're good. Today we're gonna hear answers to questions about childhood. Hope you're sitting comfortably. Maybe you are looking through your old photos now and I am accompanying you. That's great. Anyway, let's go. What is your childhood memory that you thought was normal but realized it was traumatic later in your life? Shorty boy said, I remember receiving lecture after lecture from my dad about how I needed to stop making up stories, and how my therapist had told him that I was a pathological liar who would probably never be able to tell the truth or amount to much. He gave me these lectures constantly, all the way through high school, even though I couldn't even remember telling a lie, other than the normal kid lies. No, I didn't take another cookie, or no mom, I don't have any homework this weekend. Years later, I realized these lectures started the day after I realized he was molesting me and told my brother. And then my dad choked me and threatened to kill me if I called the police. He gaslit me into believing I made the whole thing up. Amy Rosset said, a while ago a female friend was getting driving lessons, just to help her get to know the basics. She felt safe, as the man teaching her was the father of a girl in my school. Everything started off normal. She drove and he directed her and taught her. I don't remember all the details since this was over a year ago now, but he started touching her upper thigh, grabbing it when she made a mistake. 16-year-old girls aren't often faced with 45-plus-year-old men touching them. She didn't know what to do. I guess she just kept driving, wishing for the hour lesson to be over. Then she made another mistake, which was completely reasonable, since she was a learner. If you do that again, I have to bend you over my knee and spank you. There might have been other things said, but I don't recall exactly, so I won't spend time spotting BS to y'all. Anyways, after she told me, it reminded me, way back in primary school, a story someone had told me. A friend of a friend. We were having a conversation when they mentioned having a sleepover with the man's daughter. She said, oh, and we even got to the skinny dipping with Blank's dad. What? You all went in together, naked? I remember asking. Yeah, he woke us up and we all got naked in the pool and swam. That conversation, although it seemed insignificant in my mind, had stuck there for many years. We must have been 8 or 9, and my mind is now flooded with melancholy for those poor girls. I felt sick. Is he a pedo? I'm still not sure to this day, but as they say, where there's smoke, there's a fire. Another disturbing fact is that him and his wife got divorced, which meant the children of the family, including a severely disabled brain-damaged child, had to spend time alone with him. I'm sure he took advantage of his child, who is in a vegetative state and non-verbal. I can't imagine the visits the children had were pleasant. Side note, my friend who was touched in the car never told her parents, so I guess there's no chance of telling the police or anything. I don't really know what to do with the information I have, given it's just pieces of a much larger story, so I guess I'll just post it here. Destiny Laurie commented, only part of a huge hard-to-explain situation, but my dad had been forcing us into not leaving the house, except for school and 1 or 2 times a month for store trips, usually done when me and my sisters were at school. Windows nailed shut, blankets, towels and curtains on windows stapled into the walls, and then on a big window an old door on top of that. We were yelled at if we tore the curtains from the wall to look outside. We were also told that due to these things he believed, it changed all the time, such as being Einstein's relative with the Einstein brain, to companies like Sony stealing his work, etc. Crazy, I know. He would tell us people were after us, and that if we left the house we would be kidnapped, killed, sold to sex trafficking, or a combination of those things. We were told this since we were real little, like 5 or so. We were completely isolated from the world, so it's not like we knew better at the time. It wasn't until we got older we realized, hey, this is nuts, and seeing people from school and such having normal lives, that our life wasn't normal. My high school finally helped us get out after things became clear we were being abused. But the lasting effects of this being implanted into your brain, even though you know it's not true, still makes life harder than hell. John Lennon says, my aunt came over our house one day with my 3 cousins and a garbage bag full of clothes. She said she was just visiting, and my older brother and I were excited as hell, cause they were our favorite cousins. It was like having a group of best friends over. That night, my mom comes up and says they'll be staying over for a week, like a sleepover, and that she and my dad were taking the whole week off of work. We were all so happy. It was the best week of summer ever. I later found out my aunt came over not to visit us. It was because her husband, my uncle, was beating her, and she left the house while he went to work. She packed a garbage bag with some clothes from each of my cousins and didn't know where to go, so she stopped at our place to look up some shelters where she and my cousin could stay. My aunt started getting calls from him saying he was gonna kill her and the boys. She was so scared, so my mom said she wasn't leaving. She was gonna live with us for the week so she could file a police report. And she was taking the week off and my dad was, so they could protect them. My aunt slept on the couch and my mom or dad would watch outside to see if he was coming. I always think about that week, cause on one hand, it was so fun for my cousins, my brother and I, but on the other, my mother protected her cousin and nephews from being abused or killed. For anyone wondering, they got a divorce. He went to jail for abuse and other charges. She got full custody and she's doing 10 times better without him. Another user said, when I was a teenager, I broke my elbow and wrist skateboarding. I was prescribed Percocet, and every night my mom would ask if I wanted to wash it down with wine. I knew it was wrong, but I thought she was finally being cool, and maybe it was some sort of bonding thing. Turns out, she was knocking me out so she could have her ex over for sex. I was a witness against him recently in a protection from abuse trial, from when he was coming around threatening my mother and me for leaving him, which he blamed on me, and had made comments about how things would be easier if I wasn't around. So she thought it was a good idea to drag me, have him over, and hope he didn't go through with his threats to harm me. All so she could get laid. Can I fix me? Says. There is one that come to mind, and I don't know how to feel about it. I don't remember how old I was, maybe 4 or 5, but this time, I don't know why, but my whole family, mom, dad, older sister and myself, took a shower together at the same time. I mean, it's one thing to take a bath with your newborn baby, but am I crazy or is it freaked up for a 4 or 5 years old to have their parents' genitals in their face when they clean their hair? It only happened this one time, but I can't help but wonder what the hell was going on in my parents' head at that time. Aguilera said, my mom has 2 chronic conditions, diabetes and gastroparesis. Multiple times throughout my childhood, I've seen her get sick on an insane level. A lot of those times, I've had to help her. One instance being when she was having a diabetic seizure in our kitchen floor. She had cracked our kitchen tile from the seizing, and I still see that crack every day. I've witnessed her having kidney stones. I've had to walk her to a hospital myself. I've seen her pass out on a sidewalk in front of me. I've seen her come close to dying. I know every hospital in my city like the back of my hand at this point. I thought that this was just something that happened. I got so used to my mom being sick that I was always prepared for when the next time would happen. Growing up and dealing with my mental health issues, I realized that all of those times had traumatized me. The more time that passes through, the more opportunity I have to heal. Much Entertainment commented, although most of my memory of the event is repressed, alongside 99% of my childhood, I did speak with my mother who witnessed the event, so I have more information about it. And no, she didn't get me out of there. She didn't do that until the abuse got too bad for her, when I was 17. This is my first memory. I was 3 years old, playing with my toys by the unlit coal fire. I was unaware that my dad was ranting. He needs to learn the alphabet before he starts school. I remember he came over out of nowhere, sat down, and told me to recite the alphabet on the spot. I got to E, couldn't remember anymore, and wasn't really interested in continuing. Try again, got to E again, and that was it. Try again, same result. This time he picks up one of my toys and dumps it in the coal bin. I burst into tears immediately. Try again. I don't remember what happened here. I was either unable to speak for crying or simply hysterical, but I remember one by one the toys present were dumped in the bin for each failure. My mother was doing her usual theatrics in the background. No, stop it, but not actually doing anything about it. When the last toy landed in the bin, my 6'4" dad was now stooping down, his face in mine. He yelled the entire alphabet in my face at the top of his lungs before hollering, "Now get out of my sight!" I remember heading for the door, barely able to see from tears. Presumably I was left alone in my room to sob. Sometime later I remember picking up my favorite toy, wanting to play with it, until I saw a coal stain on it. My mother had cleaned it, but the stain remained. I decided never to play with it again because of that. Chasing Bubbles commented, when I was 11, my parents helped a battered wife out of an abusive situation. Her husband was a bad guy, but was still roaming free. Nobody knew where he was, and he had made serious threats against my family. My mom ran me through the steps if he were to break in. I would get my younger siblings in the closet with me. She would run and draw him out and away from the house to a predetermined location in the backyard. Once they left, I would take the shotgun out of the closet and shoot him. I was groomed to kill a man at 11. Never had to, but totally prepared. This user said, my big brother used to give me treats, M&Ms, brownies, cheese and bread. Only years later did I realize he was sneaking me food because we were not being fed. I am healthy and functional today because a 3-year-old stole food for me. Bachik Fancy said, my mom used to give me enemas when I misbehaved. I didn't realize until I made a joke about it during my first semester of college, and everyone looked at me in stunned silence that it was not a normal punishment. Edit, to my fellow friends who have been punished in similar ways, I love you. Cat4X commented, when I was in the 2nd grade, my older sister came into the bathroom while I was taking a bath to play with my toys with me. I didn't find out until later it was because my father was having a stroke from drinking too much, and she was making sure I didn't finish taking a bath before the paramedics arrived. Duv Noobs is saying, growing up, every summer we would pick apples at the local orchard. Lots of apples. Would keep some, but most just went to the orchard. I always thought it was just a fun time out. Would pick up apples, give them to Dad to put in his picking bag, see how shiny you could one, or throw the rotten ones around. 20+ years later, it finally occurred to me that it was a little weird, so I asked my dad about it. He looked straight at me and quietly said, with 5 kids, we needed the money. I would save my vacation at work and we would pick apples for the extra money. My parents worked their butts off to provide for us, make enough money to pay for half of our university educations, and save for retirement. All the while making it fun. Not really traumatic, but eye-opening for me. Huge respect for mom and dad. Edit. Thanks for the blink, anonymous people. After reading all of the other posts, it really makes me appreciate the things my parents did for us even more. If there is another occasion, I will have to relay some more stories of him and my mom. Great people. Thank you all for sharing your own experiences in the comments. Stay strong and love your family, the one you are related to or the one you choose for yourself. I also wanted to thank people who commented their stories, and to you for listening to them. Thank you. That will be it for today. I really wish you'll have a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.